We are now joined by Wren Baker, the athletic director of athletics at West Virginia on 365 Sports. So how long does it take for you to understand the lay of the land once you get to a new place?
Well, I think that probably depends on the time of year and how quickly you can get out to see people. But, it helps a little bit. My family's still there in Texas, so I'm able to work long days. And so we're getting there quickly. So the people here have been very, very, very warm and welcoming and very, very similar to the folks in Texas and Oklahoma where I grew up.
Would the end of football season and the start of conference basketball season maybe be the worst time to take a job like that, though? I mean, I feel like it's pretty busy.
Yeah, you could say it's suboptimal, but, you throw the holidays in there too. And so we've been back and forth some, but, you can't control timing of when opportunities come. And just like any other set of circumstances, all you control is how you go about, onboarding and doing things the right way. So we're spending a lot of time trying to meet people, trying to learn the histories and the culture and the tradition and really enjoying that process. So, you'll find with me, generally, I'm always going to take an optimistic view of things. So let's say that's what we're doing here.
Wren, obviously today, West Virginia football announced Chad Scott, who's been the running backs coach, become the offensive coordinator. Graham Harrell went to Illinois. How much have you and Neal Brown been working on his staff and what into that decision?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about staff and the program and just assessing really all elements of it. Still in process, to be candid with you. I'm going to spend 2 or 3 full days over there meeting all the staff members and just listening to them and learning everything I can. But, I think for Coach Brown, we have a lot of conversations. I try to facilitate thought, make sure, that we're looking at it from every angle. But my approach with coaches has always been, it's your ship to sail, and so you need to decide on the deck crew. I just want to make sure you're thinking about the right things. And so he feels very comfortable and confident in the promotion of Coach Scott, and so we're really excited about him and what he's going to be able to do for the program.
Were you glad that everything had kind of settled down on Neal Brown's future about the time or before you got there?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, if you're thrust into a decision like that when you're coming in new and you have no experience or real in-depth knowledge of, what's went good and what hasn't went good and the history of the program and other, than what you can read on the internet, I think it can be done and people come in and run a search and are able to do it, but that's certainly very difficult. And to be candid, I have a lot of respect and high regard for Coach Brown and have, I said in my press conference, first time I met him, we were getting whooped pretty solidly at North Texas in the New Orleans Bowl by Troy. So, I got a lot of respect for Coach Brown and wanted an opportunity to work with him. And, that seemed to be what the administration at West Virginia was vacillating towards. So it just made a lot of sense.
It would seem to me, like we just talked about the timetable, though, but for you especially to come in after they had the search to hire you and then to have to start other coaching searches would not have been maybe advantageous for the athletic department as a whole to try to do so rapidly, even given the way things seem to move at a faster pace nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you have something like a football search, we all know, and I've been fortunate. I don't think any coach that I've ever hired, I've ran 17 searches. None of those coaches have ever been fired, for lack of performance. And I say that while I'm knocking on wood because I understand, like at any time, they're all educated guesses, and there's hires every year that don't work out that I look at and think, man, I would have thought that would have worked. And so, I think when you onboard an AD and at the same time they're doing a football search, it does put you in a less advantageous position because you don't fully understand what the fit looks like. And, if you're if you're seasoned at this job, you kind of know what you don't know, and so you're asking other people and you're trying to learn. But you are taking a process and making it pretty difficult to on yourself. And so, I think in this case, I was really excited just to have the opportunity to come in and do a longer term assessment and work with Coach Brown. I've got a lot of confidence that we can get this turned around. If you look, any analytics you want to look at, we weren't far away this year. And really part of the issue was probably the quality of the Big 12 from top to bottom. And everybody was analytically in the top 50, which makes the league competitive. And we were 2 or 3 plays away from winning 7 or 8 games. We're also 2 or 3 plays away from losing a couple more. So, that's the nature of the league. I mean, even if you look at the last couple of years with Baylor, you've kind of seen 1 year, the Bears 2 years ago, they won all the close ones. This year, they didn't win all the close ones. And so that's just how razor thin the margin is in this league.
Wren, just in terms of the landscape of college athletics right now and all the moving parts, so to speak, what are kind of the 1 or 2 priorities right away when you're analyzing the athletic department and kind of where West Virginia is situated amongst things like NIL or the transfer portal or whatever issue may be, on top one day to the next?
Yeah, I think for me, getting out and meeting as many people as I can. I mean, these first 6 months, I'm trying to step a foot in every county in West Virginia. I had not been here other than trips with North Texas to Huntington. And so, I think it's really important before you just start coming in and changing a lot that you spend a lot of time trying to learn about the institution. And so, that's something that we're really focused on right now is getting out, meeting not just the big donors and not just the people here in Morgantown, but this institution means so much to the entire state. And I think it's important for me to get out and hear from all of those folks. And, it's certainly understanding the portal and NIL is important everywhere. But for me coming in, I have spent a ton of time. I think I spent several hours one day just listening and learning about our portal process and how early we start identifying prospects and how we watch them throughout the year. Really by the time somebody goes into the portal, if you're just starting that evaluation process at that point, it's too late. And so you kind of have to know as soon as somebody enters, we did have this prospect graded pretty high. So let's get on them pretty quickly. So it's a different world than it is today. And you all know that. I'm sure everybody you talk to, both on the record and off the record, don't love all of the changes and the way it's affected the recruiting and retention process and the calendar and the jobs that coaches have to do. It's a competitive business and you have to play the hand that you're dealt. And so I've spent a lot of time on portal and NIL.
Wren, last week, a longtime assistant coach was let go, no longer a part of the men's basketball program, Larry Harrison. I know it's a personnel issue, so you can't say much, but was that something that kind of surprised some people? Was that something Bob Huggins decided was the right time?
Well, I definitely think there were some people that were surprised just because of how long Coach Harrison's been here. And certainly Coach Huggins has a lot of respect and appreciation for Coach Harrison. And I was just getting to know him a little bit. So, I think that was a surprise. And midseason changes are of surprise. But, for a couple of years in a row here, we struggled in the Big 12. We got off to a good start in non-conference this year. But we struggled some, and I talked about how competitive football is, but basketball is even more competitive in this league with 5 teams, I think, today in the top 13 or so. So, I think Coach Huggins is his credentials are unparalleled. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He knows how to win. He loves this school and he loves the state, and he wants so much to keep this program at a high level and even to take it beyond where he's had it before, which was the Final Four. So I think he's just looking at what can we tweak and what can we change and what can we make better. and I'm fully supportive of whatever he thinks we need to do. He's the subject matter expert when it comes to winning basketball games, so I'll always support what he wants to do.
When you walk in the door of a school and they have someone like him, who's obviously, you mentioned Hall of Famer, the credentials speak for itself. What is that like to kind of get to know him? Obviously, you're his boss, and yet he's also a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I've never approached the job as I'm the boss or somebody works for me. I really see everybody in our department as coworkers. Now, there comes times where I have to make certain decisions because that's required with the job title. But I really hope we're creating and fostering an environment where everybody just sees me as a coworker. I know my pastor in Texas, they have a whole staff, but when he introduced himself, he always just says, "I'm one of the pastors here," even though he's the lead pastor. And so I've always admired him for that approach, and it's really a similar approach to what I take. So my deal is we're partners in this endeavor, in this enterprise, and how can we help each other? How can we work together? What hurdles can I eliminate? Is there any resource needs that we have? And how can I facilitate us to be successful? And so that's really, the approach that I've taken. And with Coach Huggins, I got my start in athletics working for Eddie Sutton. So one of the few people to get a chance to work up close and personal with two Hall of Fame coaches, two guys that both have over 800 wins. Coach Huggins over 900. And so I've had a great time with him. We, in the Big 12, we get some long flights, and I've taken a couple of the road trips already. And so he and I have spent time on the plane talking about stories and enjoying some of the good old days when Coach Sutton and Coach Knight were roaming the sidelines and in the Big 12. And so it's been a pleasure to work with him, and I'm excited to continue to do so.
Wren, when you think about the overall calendar for football, everything with recruiting, transfer portal, and everything that they have to deal with, do you think that is something that in the next year or two you guys will try and look at? Because if you look at the absolute, train wreck of things that happened, signing day, the transfer portal, bowl games, and all that in December this year really puts a crunch on the coaches. Plus, again, coaching cycle and all of that's going on. Do you think in the next year that will get looked at and maybe changed?
It has to. I mean, train wreck is a pretty good term for it. We've taken. I've always said this. Presidents have hard jobs, ADs have hard jobs. About the only people in sports that maybe have the good life is you all, because I want to join your team at some point. But I think right now we put coaches in just an awful position from a quality of life standpoint. The job never ends. They're constantly having to re-recruit their current players in addition to trying to recruit other players, and now, like I talked about. You're not even just focusing on high school prospects, like you're having to watch underclassmen across the country throughout the year because you got to be ready to go. And so we've just made it almost impossible. And so we've got to revisit that calendar. We've got to tighten that up. There's been some changes to try and help with that in terms of the calendar and the windows. But I would say, that was one step in a longer journey. I'm all for student athletes having the ability to make decisions about their future. And, these are not children, they're adults. They're young adults, but they're adults. And so there are certain rights that they should have. And, that's great and all, but what we can't do is keep our coaching staffs where in a very high stress position, they don't get a break.
Could you see maybe even recruiting windows when there are like maybe longer dead periods or times where you just can't, not because the coaches won't want to or that they need to get that evaluation? You just maybe need to tell people like, hey, this is time, but, we just have to take away.
Oh, I think absolutely. And to be candid, I think coaches want some of that. But as long as we don't have it, they're going to keep trying to be competitive and keep working at it. But I absolutely think we've got to have, more downtime, more dead periods, and just tighter windows in the recruiting calendar altogether and in the portal calendar as well.
Wren, what's it like to now run a program and a university athletics department that is Power 5 compared to when you were at North Texas? Of course, you've been at Missouri and elsewhere, but running it now, a Power 5 rather than where you were as a group of 5?
You know, the job and really the philosophy and the problems are not that much different. The numbers are a little different. But you know, I was used to that, having been all the way from NAIA to Division II. I was even in the public schools for a year. So, and then on up to Memphis, Missouri, North Texas. I've kind of seen budgets at every size, and I really think that's helped shape me in a very positive way. I think the biggest difference in the transition here has just been having a program that has intense statewide interest. I mean, there's no other college team competitors really. I mean, Marshall has their, you know, small corner of the state, but even around the Huntington area, there's probably just as many West Virginia University fans as there are Marshall fans, and so we have a pretty captivated audience. No pro teams, so no real competition, and so the amount of speculation and scrutiny and you know, I told my wife, I said, no, you need to get prepared when you get here. People here are great and they're not intrusive, like, you know, but when I walk into the grocery store, I can tell that people recognize who I am. And we didn't, you know, in DFW, we didn't really have that. So that part is certainly a change. And, but you know, I think that interest is what drew me to the job, just to know that, you know, this is a place that fans are very passionate about all of our sports. They show up. We have great crowds, and you know, there's a lot of places that really struggle to generate that kind of enthusiasm.
All right, since you now are the newest, I think the newest AD among the 14 that will be a part of it here pretty soon, can you tell us when the Big 12 football schedule is going to be released?
You guys are going to have Terry Mahajer on. I think he's the one that's breaking stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've been told it could be any time, and you know, I don't think there'll be. Hopefully, that'll come sooner rather than later. You know, we're all needing to build out our models and schedules. We went ahead and put our tickets up for sale last week, and but I know that's something that everybody's fan base is very eager to get. And I can tell you that I'm very eager to get it, but probably a little less predictive than some of my colleagues.
Yeah, he put it out there, and then he kind of backtracked a little bit, saying there still were some tie-ups or loopholes or whatever, and they're working on that. Last question. Thank you, Wren. I know it's been a long time with us. Thank you. What would you and how much did Mack Rhoades at Baylor affect your career?
Well, let me just say, first of all, I don't know that I would be at West Virginia without Mack on both ends. He has a great relationship with President Gee and was encouraging about me to Gordon, and on the other side, you know, I've had some opportunities to look at similar jobs and really haven't. Since you all know, I was very happy at North Texas, and that's where we're from, is that part of the country. And but Mack was very positive about what he thought WVU could be, and just what he had seen when he was here. So he was instrumental in me being here, just because he knew all parties and was able to speak to the institution and what it can be in the Big 12. But you know, Mack, to his face, I always tell him he's like a father to me, so I could just dig at him a little bit for him being older than me. But he is like a big brother and has meant a lot to me. Somebody that I lean on for advice, not just for professional stuff, but also personal stuff. And so, you know, I think very, very highly of Mack and just love what he's been able to get done at Baylor. And he's such a great fit there. You know, my only deal is I just think you all need to get him a personal stylist, because I question some of these outfit matches that he has sometimes.
We will bring that up tomorrow. We will absolutely. We'll just we'll replay the last 20 seconds of your response and bring that up. Hey, Wren, thanks very much. Enjoy. Yeah, go ahead.
Make sure he knows all the nice things I said.
Oh,
if you guys are going to tell him the dig I took at him.
No, we're in the media. We're evil. We leave that kind of stuff up. Thank you, Wren. Congratulations on your opportunity. We have some West Virginia fan, Cousins Corner, Joey Foster. They're excited about having you on. I think you're going to be on with them in fact, are a couple of others coming up this week. Thanks for your time. Have a great week.
Thank you so much, guys.
You too. That's Wren Baker, AD, Director of Athletics for West Virginia. Was it North Texas? Was it Missouri?